stories to be told, treasures to be found, silver and gold, dollars and pounds, never worth more than the stories of a town.
For over a century, this place has symbolised the aspirations for people who have come here to holiday or to live. A paradise for surfers conjures up a powerful and potent image. For many, it represents the Australian dream, the ultimate playground. It's a town that always seems to look forward, but it's got a fascinating history. Finding it's the biggest problem. A German immigrant by the name of Johann Meyer was the first to build a hotel in Surfers Paradise in 1887. He'd been running the ferry service right here across the Nerang River, and he saw the potential to make money in providing accommodation and services for the many tourists and travellers who were coming across. Meyer was the first entrepreneur in the area. He died in 1901 and the hotel licence lapsed. It was going to be more than 20 years before another developer was to attempt a hotel business here on the coast. By 1923, the railway line from Brisbane to Southport was carrying 100,000 passengers a year. Then a bridge across the Nerang River was opened, and those fun-loving day trippers of the 1920s started heading for the coast in cars. The old Meyer ferry was out of a job. But Jim Cavell, like Meyer before him, seized an opportunity. Cavell was a flamboyant individual who built the aptly named Surfers Paradise Hotel in 1925. It soon became a very popular meeting place for the younger set in the heady days of the Roaring Twenties. He set in motion the Surfers Paradise Surf Lifesaving Club and a Progress Association, and he lobbied hard for a name change from the very unremarkable Elston, and on the 1st of December 1933, Surfers Paradise came into existence. This is the very site where his hotel stood. Now, undoubtedly, Cavell was a visionary, but I don't think even he could have imagined all this 80 years ago. Surfers Paradise set about selling its new name straight away. No other district in Australia had privately funded campaigns for tourism. The tourist and development boom was just getting started. As the popularity of surfbathing grew, its dangers just as rapidly became apparent. Floundering around in heavy neck-to-knee woolen costumes could actually be quite dangerous. Small groups of regular surfers formed themselves into life-saving bodies. The clubs were criticised in December 1933 by local newspapers as hard-drinking pretty boys, lacking in morals and unsuitable for public beaches. This was more a reaction from the rural heartland to the emerging beach culture. The surf lifesaving clubs were to become an integral part of the coastal community, drawing huge crowds to carnivals and giving swimmers a sense of security. It was Surfers Paradise's ability to promote itself that was one of the keys to its success. It was glamorous, and this glamour was all to do with the beach. The bikini became the controversy of the 1950s. Paula Stafford is credited with starting the controversy, and she's been on the Gold Coast for 60 years.
Well, I came to Queensland in the army. I was a nurse. I realised I wasn't going to be an architect, so I decided to study dress design instead. So I had done that previously to joining the army. Everybody wanted what I was wearing on the beach and what my 4 children were wearing. One day I gave in, and that was it. And I was inundated with orders, and I took them. And I happened to be very good at taking orders and obeying them. So that's where the business started. with a rush, I'm here to tell you. Within a week, I had a machinist helping me. Within a month, I had 6. Well, one could say I was ambitious, but I wasn't really intending to grow as large as I grew. It just happened. I needed the people to help me fulfil my promises. In other words, you can have it tomorrow, or you can have it today. And I prided myself on keeping those promises and making people happy. Well, I think I broke a lot of the conservative rules. I instigated tight-tapered pants, and I was the first to make the so-called bikinis of the period. And the tight-tapered pants were a bit of a sensation because they were pretty hard to get on and they were very hard to get off, they found. The media loved Surfers Paradise, and they shared their love for me as well because they did give me some wonderful publicity. They loved Surfers Paradise, and I was part of it, so I got the benefit, I guess, of the love for Surfers Paradise. It was a legend, as against the beach next door. It meant so much to so many people.
After the Second World War, building restrictions had been lifted, and the 1950s ushered in a new wave of development. More land was released, and Queensland's first big canal project, the Florida Gardens Estate, began. Canal estates are an American invention. Basically, swampland is filled in and canals are cut into it. In 1957, the local council allowed for a 100-foot wide canal to be constructed. The newly created water frontages were sold as freehold. Florida Gardens took shape, and Gold Coast property development was up and running. Miami Keys, Rio Vista, Anglers Paradise, and Palm Beach soon followed. The real action, however, was back on the coast. This iconic building here is Kinkaboo. It's the first high-rise on the Gold Coast. It's one of the only survivors from the early period. Built in 1959, it actually has a heritage order on it. It's 10 stories high and was described by the press of the day as a giant. It took 4 years to sell the apartments in this building. Such was the market scepticism for this new building phenomenon. The big boom in high-rise came in the 1970s. It was an extraordinary era of construction and development in which this place was launched onto the world stage by a cast of larger-than-life characters from the realms of politics, real estate and construction. Gordon Douglas has worked in the Gold Coast real estate market for longer than most and remembers this exciting time. So this is home turf for you, Gordon. I mean, this is home. Way back. Tell us about your background here.
Well, I was born literally here. I came here when I was 1 month old, so I've been living in this town when it was just dirt tracks. What happened here came because people externally came here for a holiday, for a drink, for whatever, caught a fish. But they decided they loved the place and they all came back here to live and create their own dreams. And so it was never supported by governments until relatively recent times did it get anything from governments. It was really created by individuals, visionaries basically. In this precinct we're driving through, I can remember looking out of our office and we had 54 cranes within sight of our office. Each crane was a high-rise building. Yeah. So she was wild. We used to launch a new high-rise about every 5 weeks and we'd have it sold within 6. And we'd have 5 on the drawing boards, 5 sold, and 5 sort of in your mind you were putting the sites together for the next 5. So, and every time, of course, we had a cyclone, we got written off by the national press. This time it really, Gold Coast has had it, right? It's over. There's nothing left of it. The beaches are gone. But of course they came back, and they don't take long to come back. So they've come on. We haven't had them for 17 or 18 years. So I'll be interested to see how the new residents handle one when we have one.
Yeah, okay.
And so for an urban dweller coming out of Sydney or Melbourne, I mean, there's not many cities of scale that can come and live like this. The lifestyle is quite extraordinary. And yet have all the facilities of a large city. There's only 1 or 2 places in Australia, and really we say there's one, but that's being a bit one-eyed. So they come here, and they'll continue to.
In 1967, cyclonic seas smashed the Surfers Paradise coastline. Something was needed to restore public confidence and get people back to the beaches and the emerging resort. The Meter Maids became one of the country's best-known promotional gimmicks. Within weeks, they'd captured both national and international attention. Surfers Paradise's unique promotional techniques were to again prove to be inspired. Roberta Aitchison is one of the legendary Meter Maids and still keeps a close eye on curbside events.
The idea of starting the Meter Maid was a lot more than just feeding the meters. It was a big promotional gimmick. One, I think, is very famous for Surfers Paradise. It's probably one of their better gimmicks they've ever done. I started Meter Maiding when I was 32, and that's back in about 1984, 5, something like that. And I sat back and the Chamber of Commerce had a little ad in the paper wanting promotional girls. So I applied and I got the job, and I was actually a promotional courtesy girl. Well, the Meter Maids are synonymous with the Gold Coast. You ask anybody and you talk about Surfers Paradise and they go, have you seen the Meter Maids? You know, so I think it's still very popular. Surfers Paradise will always be, to me, the #1 destination in the world to visit. Of course, I'm not biased. In another 80 years here in Surfers Paradise, you probably have to pay to get onto the beach. There'll probably be no parking at all in Surfers Paradise because there'll be too much traffic coming through. I do hope they keep a little bit of what has happened over the last few centuries so that people can keep a little bit of history at the same time.
Originally a quaint seaside resort, Surfers Paradise has built on its reputation for fun in the sun in a truly phenomenal way to become one of Australia's most popular beach meccas. Those early promoters and entrepreneurs set out to put this place on the map. And well, the result? There's no doubt. This place is a great Australian icon town.